Wow. Wow. You want to hear something hilarious? There's 4 viewers. Oh my goodness. Okay. So hey, let me tell you something. I literally just did this entire lesson and I never hit the go live button. So, oh my goodness. So I just spoke to nobody for a half hour. Can you believe that? Um, I didn't even record that. Oh my goodness. Wow. All right. Well, good morning. It's good to see. Oh my goodness. Good to see all of you. There's one person left. I can't believe I just did that. Wow. Wow. Okay. So today's lesson, everybody. Today's lesson is going to be about the number of solutions of a system of equations. Man, I am so sad. Jeez, I accidentally did a whole lesson without hitting go live. Oh man. What a bummer. What a bummer. Okay, well, regardless. Click on number of solutions to a system of equations graphically. Oh man. Let's see what happens because I just did this assignment. Let's see what it shows. Oh, well, it's going to let me do it again. That's good. So hey, I'm going to show you some shortcuts real quick today, okay? And I want you to write this down. It's a good thing that I did this lesson to myself one time because at least now I can kind of do this the quick way. So if you look at these two equations, 3x plus 3 and y equals negative 2x plus 3. Now, I want to show you, we're going to graph these and then we're going to see if they cross. Now, before we graph these and we see if they cross, I'm going to tell you something. This line has a slope of 3 over 1, and this line has a slope of negative 2 over 1, which means one line is going to go uphill, one line is going to go downhill, and if one line is going uphill, one line goes downhill, that means those two lines are going to cross. And how many times did they cross right here? These two lines intersected one time. So I'm going to show you, if you go on Desmos.com, you will get a graphing calculator that looks like this, and you can enter the exact equations that you are given. So in this case, I'm given y equals 3x plus 3. So that line begins on 3 and it goes up 3, forward 1. So that looks correct. And then I also enter negative 2x plus 3. So as you can see, as you can hopefully see, no you can't, I gotta shrink it. As you can hopefully see, I have entered both of these equations. In fact, I should probably put a y equals here. I've entered both of these equations. And you can see, I should shrink it so that you can see everything. You can see that I have two lines that cross, a green line and a purple line. They cross exactly one time. So that means I'm going to choose one solution. This has exactly one solution. Now you can graph it using their little tool right here. You just begin with B and then move with M. All right. So that's how so I'm going to show you how to do that. Begin with B, which means begin with 3. Can I use it now? I can't use it. I'll use it on the next question. Okay. This one, I'm actually going to do it on Desmos.com, all right, just to show you. So first of all, copy down the system of equations so that we can enter it on the website. So the system of equations is 21x plus 6y equals 42, and 7x plus 2y equals 14. So copy both of those down, and we're going to enter those exactly as they appear on Desmos.com. So let's do 21x plus 6y equals 42, and 7x plus 2y equals 14. Not plus 14, equals 14. There we go. So now I have two lines. I should zoom out. What? Oh, okay, I see. So I was zooming out so that I can find the other line. As you can see, I graphed both of these lines, and in the picture, in the picture, they are the exact same line. I only see one line right here. So I plotted both equations. One of them's red, one of them's blue, and they are the exact same line. So whenever they are the exact same line, I want you to think, how many times does this line intersect? Okay? How many times, if they are the exact same line, so if I have a line like this, and then I have the exact same line right on top of it, that line intersects not one time, but infinitely many times. So if it's the same exact line, you click infinitely many. Okay? So that's how you graph the lines, and we're just going to see if they cross or if they don't. Okay? Next question. For this one, I am going to use the graphing tool that they give me. So let me shrink my little whiteboard. It's teeny tiny. And let me graph this real quick. So if I graph this, let me go to it. Y equals 3x plus 2. So I'm going to begin with b, which is 2, and the slope is 3, which means I'm going to move up 3, forward 1, and that is my line. The other equation is 3x minus 6. So I'm going to do the exact same slope, but I'm going to begin at minus 6, but I will go up 3, forward 1. Now, if you look at my picture, both of my lines have the exact same slope. In fact, I will use my Khan Academy pen. M equals 3 for both of these. M equals 3 over 1. So if two lines have the same steepness, they have the same slope, that means that they are never, ever, ever going to touch. They are never going to intersect, which means there are no solutions to the system. And then the final equation here, let's go ahead and use Desmos.com again. So we have 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. So I'm copying these down, and then I'm going to enlarge them so you can see them. But copy them down at home, and we're going to go to Desmos.com on the other tab. You're going to open up a new tab, and we're going to enter these equations. So you can see my Desmos right here. Let me see that you can see my equations. They are written right here. So 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. And then 3x minus 4y equals negative 12. 3x minus 4y equals negative 12. As you can see, we get a pair of lines that intersect exactly one time. And so what we are going to do is we are going to click one solution. Hey, those of you who are in here, good to see you, good to see you. I want to share a hilarious story with you. I just accidentally did a 30-minute lesson to myself before I started doing this again. So, fun times. This take number 2 for me. And that's how you, so just to recap, if you are given a system of equations, you are going to either graph it by hand, like begin with B and move with M, or you are going to graph it with Desmos, all right? Or you can do the old-fashioned way where you find points that equal negative 12 here, or negative 6. You can do it any of those ways, but as soon as you graph it, you're going to see, does it cross one time, does it cross, or does it not cross, or is it the same line, all right? So actually, let me just write that down. Same slope means no solution, because that means parallel. So if two lines are parallel, that means they never touch, so that means there's no solution. If you have a different slope, so if the two slopes are different steepness, then that means the lines will cross exactly one time. So you're going to write one solution. And then finally, same line, I'm going to write that up top. Same line equals infinitely many solutions. Same line is infinitely many solutions. Now, we just did graphing on this lesson, okay? So you did graphing on this lesson to see how many solutions a system had, okay? Okay, then you're going to go back to your assignments. And then you're going to click on number of solutions of a system algebraically. Okay? Good to see two people sticking around. That's wonderful. Okay, now let's look at this one. Okay? So let's look at this system of equations. And we are not going to use graphing. For this one, we are going to use... oh my goodness, I can't even resize this the right way. There we go. For this one, we're going to use... let's use elimination. Because here, we're not going to graph. Here, we're going to use algebra. So... let's go ahead and use our whiteboards or our notebooks. And I'm going to write 5x minus y equals 2. And 5x minus y equals negative 2. Now, I'm going to use elimination in this case. So, do I have any opposites in my variables? I do not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them be opposites, okay? So, for example, I'm going to take this equation right here, and I'm going to make everything negative, okay? So I'm going to distribute this negative 1 to everything. So my new equation is going to be negative 5x plus y equals positive 2, okay? So now I have the first equation, which I should also write down. The first equation and this this equation that I just invented. Not invented, but I multiplied everything by negative 1 here. So now I did that, and now I do have opposites. So let's see what happens. Negative 5x plus 5x, that equals 0. Y plus negative y, that equals 0. So both things canceled. And then 2 plus 2 equals 4. So we end up getting 0 equals 4. 0 equals 4. That is a false statement. So whenever you end up with a false statement, you're going to get no solution. Okay? False statement means no solution. Okay? If you want, you can take both these equations and put them into Desmos, and you will see that these two lines do not intersect. So you're going to pick no solutions. Okay. Next one. Next one, I'm going to use, well, we have y equals something, so I'm going to use substitution here. So I'm going to write down both equations. And I'm going to take this expression, that y equals, and I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to put it in place of that letter y. Okay? And so when I put that there, I'm going to put 5 plus 6x, and then drop down everything else, equals 6x plus 5. Well, wait a minute. We have 6x plus 5 on this side, and we have 6x plus 5 on this side. Whenever we end up with identical expressions on each side, we talked about this a little bit before we left. Whenever we have identical expressions, this is going to be infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. I'm going to abbreviate. Okay? So in this equation, if you look at both of these equations, they're actually identical equations. So since they're identical, there's infinitely many solutions. Okay? And then you hit check. Let's try this one. This one has another system of equations. Now I want to give you a little tip. Whenever you have a system of equations and one of the equations has like a common factor in all three of the numbers, like this first equation, the common factor here is 3. So if you ever get that, you can simplify the equation by taking out the common factor or dividing the common factor. So if I do that, I get y equals negative 2x plus 3. So that's my first equation. Then my second equation is y equals negative 6x plus 9. Now, if you look at both of these equations, I could go ahead and take this expression and substitute it in here. But Instead, I'm going to look at something else. I'm going to look at their slopes. They have different slopes, which means one line is going to be going downhill and the other line is going to be going really downhill. And if two lines have different slopes, we already know that they will intersect how many times in this picture. Look at my picture and tell me, how many times do these two different lines intersect? They intersect one time. So you're going to choose exactly one solution. Okay? So different slope means one solution. Okay? Even though it looks like it's the same slope, when you simplify the equation, you get different slopes. And then this one, so this one we can do by, how can we do this? Let's do this by elimination. So let's write down both expressions, or both equations. 8x plus 2y equals 14, and 8x plus 2y equals 4. Now check this out. We don't have opposites right now. So if I wanted to turn this whole equation opposite of this one, I would multiply by -1, which would make, if I just did that, if I multiplied this bottom equation by -1, all that would do is that would make everything in that equation negative. So it would make -8x, -2y, -4. Okay? Same equation still, but now we have opposites. So let's see what happens now that we have opposites. 8x plus -8x, 0. 2y plus -2y, 0. So we made opposites, and we end up with the math 0 equals 10. Now is this a true or a false statement? This is going to be a false statement. 0 does not equal 10. So if you get a false statement, this is no solution. Okay? So we get a false statement. Now, in none of these questions did they ask for the exact equation. They just said, or the exact solution. They just said, how many solutions? So in this case, we get a false statement. That means there's no solution that exists. And we do that. Okay? Oh, all right. We're going to keep it short today. So that right there, today what we just learned was, we learned how to use Desmos to graph some lines, and we're going to, if you graph those lines, you're going to tell me how many times that line crossed. Okay? So, and then if the line crosses once, it's one solution. If the lines are parallel and they don't cross, it's no solution. And if it's the same line, it's infinitely many solutions. All right? Work on those two assignments, and if you want, you can get a head start on your quiz that's assigned right now. But other than that, please take care and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Stay safe.